Hey, hi guys, good to be with you today. We're having a little bit of a sprinkle of rain, and man, we need it right now. I hope the farmers are getting this. They really need it and they deserve it, man. Listen, we're talking about on the issue of faith. We're talking about keeping the faith. We're talking about growing our faith. We're talking about experiencing faith by feeding it, by exercising it, and it's a beautiful thing. But there's a verse in Hebrews 11 verse 6 that says, without faith it is impossible to please God. That means it's not unlikely that you'll please God, or that it might be difficult to please God. People, it's impossible to please God without faith. So we're going to realize the importance of this. And I think when I think of pleasing God, I think of the rules of life about significant others. You know, at every phase in your life, there is one group of people more important than another. When you're a baby, your mum is your significant other because she feeds you. When you get a little bit older, your teacher becomes your significant other. You know that. And everything your teacher says, you believe, even though your parents maybe said it for a long time. When teacher says it, that's it. You believe it because your significant other has spoken. And we live our lives trying to please the significant others of our lives at the different phases. Think of when you're a teenager. We live to please our peers. We want to impress those who are of the same age group. We dress the same. We talk the same. We're out there to try and impress them. And that's because your significant other has now become them. And then when we get a bit older, we're looking for the opposite sex. We're looking for somebody who'll be a marriage partner to us. And we dress like we want to dress to impress. We want to speak to impress because they have now become our significant other. And we do everything we can to please them. When we get a bit older, we become businessmen or what a businesswoman. And we try to impress the others by having a bigger business than them and a faster car than them. And we try so hard to impress these people. And when it comes to our spiritual lives, we have a significant other who's no longer our parents, no longer our kids, no longer our peers, no longer our contemporaries. God becomes our significant other. But the same rule applies. If He is our significant other, we exist to impress Him and to please Him. Now, many people will go to such great lengths to think that if I just obey the law, in the old days, the law was a big deal. If I can just obey the law of Moses, then God's going to be pleased with me. And God says, well, it's a good try. Your intention was good, but that's not what pleases me. And so then other people came along with religious behavior, and they thought if I just become more religious and do the ritual thing and do all those things, then that's what God will be pleased with. And God said, well, you're pretty impressive, but you've actually missed the entire point. To please God, people, is not complicated. God says, if you want to please me, live by faith. That means we have to trust Him through all the ups and downs of life. And boy, have we got a few of those right now. If you live in our country, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you live in any country, I'm sure you have your ups and downs, your challenges. And God is saying, I don't care how high the highs are and how low the lows are. I'm just inviting you to trust me through all the undulating motion of the ups and downs of life. Just trust me. And anybody who was ever anybody in Scripture learned that same lesson. God has not changed. We impress, we please God when we exhibit our faith. Religious behavior is not going to cut it. You know, being a nice person, not going to cut it. Those are nice and good things. But if you want to please God as your significant other, we have to learn to live by faith. So the question is, first of all, I have two of them. First of all, the question is, who's your significant other? I know our wives and our kids and our families and our friends and our contemporaries all have a place in our lives. I don't take anything away from that. But if God is not your significant other, you will play to the other crowd. We play to a one-man audience. And whatever God says or does, that's what we play to. He has to become our significant other. Where what people say about us down here on earth, people, shouldn't matter that much. Because it's what God says about us at the end of the day that really matters. So that's the first question. who is your significant other and which crowd are you playing to. I hope it's God. The second thing is, it's this faith thing. God is very straight about this. He's not sort of saying and hiding this thing from you and saying, well, I hope you can find it. Hope you find out what pleases me. He's telling you what pleases him. You don't have to have two brain cells to understand that this is what God is wanting you to do. Learn to trust him and learn to live by faith. I hope that makes sense for you. We'll build on that again next week. But guys, let's live to impress our true significant other. Let's learn every day to grow more in love with him and more committed to him as we live out our faith in daily life. Hope that makes sense to you. I'll see you again next week. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.